Welcome to Codex History of Video Games. My name is Tyler Osby.
And I'm Mike Coletta.
And this week, it's a mailbag episode. We got a lot of emails to get through, don't we, Mike?
Oh, we do. I didn't even ask for more emails in the Discord like I usually do. I just was like, we got enough. We got a good amount here. So we might fly through them real quick and it's a shorter episode. We might not. Who knows what's going to happen? We don't know. Do you know, Tyler? I don't know.
Can't see the future.
Can't see the future. All right. Well, do you want me to start it or do you want to start it?
I want you to start it, Mike. Kick us off.
Okay. We got this new message from Cliff. I'm just going to say from Cliff because I don't know if we should say their last name. I have no idea. Okay?
I'm not sure their last name's real.
I don't know either. It's a really great last name. Okay. But from Cliff, it says, "Hey guys, I heard a letter from the same listener on here and another podcast, and it made me wonder, what are the video game shows you might listen to? Along with your show, I follow Retrovaniacs, the Video Game History Hour, Get Played, Triple Click, and They Create Worlds. Are there any other shows that you would recommend?"
First of all, I want to know who this person is that's listening to more than one podcast. Not okay. I'm just kidding. Listen to as many podcasts as you want.
So I listened to two. Do you want me to tell you mine real quick?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so I listened to two other video game podcasts. I listened to Podcast Unlocked by IGN, which is an Xbox podcast, because I like to keep up on gaming news, and that's the only one I really like. That's the one I picked. I could do Nintendo, I could do PlayStation. I just picked Xbox because I think it's pretty clear on this podcast. I've always had Xbox, and I'm kind of a fanboy, so that's where I'm at, okay?
It's true.
The other one I listened to that I've actually mentioned on the podcast before that I really love is called the Ethics and Video Games Podcast. And it's hosted by Shlomo Sher and Andy Ashcraft, and they do topics every week on different ethical conundrums in video games. So we're talking about like, are microtransactions gambling, or why are people so mean in like esports games, that kind of stuff. And I really like it. I took a rhetoric of video games class in college my senior year that was offered. It might have only been offered for 1 year. And that class, I'm trying to find the material from that class. I think I found some of it too, but I actually want to try to contact the professor too, because I would love to have them on, because we talked about why there's racism in World of Warcraft from like different races, like actual fictional races in World of Warcraft. And we talked about like controversial games like Super Columbine Massacre RPG, which is a real video game that you can Google on your own time if you want to. But I love that kind of stuff. So that's why I listen to that podcast. That's really where I was going with it. What about you, Tyler?
That sounds good. I'm actually going to check out the ethics one. That sounds really cool. So I don't listen to a lot of video game podcasts, or really any. I did for a long time listen to Fireteam Chat, the Destiny podcast that is no more.
That ended, yeah.
Yeah, I really liked that because it talked about Destiny stuff. Let me look at my podcasts real quick that I go through. I go through phases where I listen to a lot of podcasts and then times where I just don't listen to podcasts. Some kinds of podcasts that might be of interest to folks who listen to this show. Not necessarily video game related, but I really like the podcast Darknet Diaries, which is always, I don't listen to it very often, but it's always, they always tell stories of like hackers and stuff, like real stories of stuff that has actually happened. And they put out a couple episodes a month, and they're always like really, really high quality. Really love Darknet Diaries. Other than that, I listen to just a lot of like regular news podcasts, a lot of NPR stuff. I did listen to the show that you recommended finally, the Superhero Complex. About Phoenix
did you
Jones
like it?
I loved it. That was great. Not related to video games at all, but if you want to hear about a real life superhero who existed and patrolled the streets of Seattle, you can listen to the Superhero Complex. It was very interesting.
Yeah, it's a very interesting podcast. I do the same thing. Those are the two video game ones I listen to, but I find myself leaning away because, I do stand-up comedy. So I started listening to podcasts by a lot of comedy podcasts like WTF and You Made It Weird, right? But now I've fully gone into the whole like history science camp. So I listen to like all the short NPR news podcasts that are daily, and then I listen to like weird documentary ones like you just mentioned. So that's kind of where I'm at. But those are the two video game ones I listen to. That's a great question. Also, Cliff, way to make us accidentally plug other podcasts on our podcast. That was a good trick you just did there, which is fine. I don't mind, obviously. Do you want to read the next one from Matt in Japan?
Yeah, Matt in Japan says, "Hey, Mike and Tyler." The subject of this is Mario / Donkey Kong. You wondered about other Mario games that had alternate routes that were only accessible to small Mario. This is from when we were talking about Super Mario Land and how there were some routes in that game that you could only do if you were small Mario. New Super Mario Bros. For the DS took this to the next level by blocking off entire worlds. The only way to access World 4 and World 7 is to defeat the bosses of World 3 and World 5, respectively, as Mini Mario. Mini Mario being a power-up that makes Mario even smaller, allowing him to access super small tunnels, and he dies if he gets hit once. Jumping on enemies as Mini Mario doesn't harm them. Instead, you have to ground pound them to actually damage them. So unlocking these worlds is quite the challenge. As for Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. situation, both characters have appeared in games at the same time, including Mario Tennis for the 64 and Mario Kart Tour, the mobile game. However, DK Jr. appears to still look like a child. I imagine it's some time slip situation, which probably explains why Baby Mario and other baby characters are able to coexist with their adult counterparts in Mario Kart. Hopefully this sheds some light on the fate of DK's dad, and it's not simply he went out to get a pack of bananas and never came home. I feel all this talk about DK Jr. on the podcast will cause him to appear as Mario Kart DLC, just like all the talk about Birdo from a recent podcast caused Birdo to become Mario Kart DLC. Fun fact, Birdo's Japanese name is Catherine, just to add more ambiguity on what to call them. That's from Matt in Japan.
Matt in Japan, always hitting us with the facts. I love it so much.
Yeah, I really like the idea of trying to sort of cosmically or physically justify why the baby versions of like Mario and Luigi can coexist in a Mario Kart game with the adult versions. Like there's some sort of trickery happening, like physics, time travel stuff going on. I just think that's really funny.
I do,
and
too.
Not just like, let's put Baby Mario in Mario Kart. Like that's probably what they just did.
It also makes sense when you think about how messed up the Zelda timeline is to do that too. They don't even care about timelines in Nintendo. And should they? I mean, they're all cartoon characters, honestly, essentially. It's fine. Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah, honestly, it's fine. If they don't put characters in a game because they're worried about how they will explain why these characters are racing with each other or playing tennis together, I don't care. I just want to play tennis. Like Mario, I like the thought that Mario and Bowser are actually good buddies when they're not, performing their rivalry on stage. It's and outside of it, they're just fun.
Does
they
that
just
mean?
Have fun.
Okay, I had a thought here. Does that mean that when you have a Mario game where it's Mario versus Bowser and he kidnaps Peach, that's like scripted television they're acting in? But then, when you have Mario Tennis and Mario Kart, that's like reality television.
Yeah,
that's what I think so. Like.
It's like wrestling, I think, where the Super Mario games with the story, that's the wrestling stuff. That's kayfabe, right? Like they're playing the characters, and then but after the game's over, they just hang out and they have a good time, and that's exactly. It's like reality TV. Although I don't think wrestlers do stuff out there. They try not to do stuff outside kayfabe.
Probably. Mario, the ultimate baby face. We all just said it here first.
That's right. I don't know a lot about wrestling, but I do know more than I probably should for somebody who has never watched wrestling.
I always love, I've listened to podcasts on wrestling history, even though I never watch wrestling, and I find it super interesting because you are acting a part, but you can't tell everyone you're acting a part, but everyone knows you're acting a part, right? It's right. A weird situation.
Yeah, it's not like actors in a movie where it's like, oh, when you see them outside the movie, they're just the actor. Like the movie is fake. We all know the movie's fake. We all know the wrestling is fake. But you're right. There's like a weird, it like sort of like blends into real life in a way that we all know is still fake, but still somehow like we want them to do that. I don't know. It's very strange.
I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah.
I also only know the terms kayfabe, babyface, and heel. I think are the two that I know. The three that I know total. So I think we're in the same boat.
Yeah.
All right. So we got an email from Alexa here. It's a very short email. It's a car emoji, and it says, "Hey y'all, wanted to say congrats, Tyler, on getting that new car. Coincidentally, I actually also just bought a new car today, and it's also a Bolt. Small world, eh? Also, thought of another fun episode idea, a tier list of popular video game protagonists. Would be a fun discussion. Butts of the Spiders, Alexa."
That is a great idea. We should add that to our list of episode ideas.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it right after this. I usually, after the
popular
email episodes, I just go on there and I just add all the ideas on the list from all the emails we read. That's what I do. So I love that.
And congratulations on your new Bolt, Alexa. I love mine.
This isn't a car podcast, but can you briefly explain to me how well it's going with the Chevy Bolt? Because you do have to charge your car and make sure it's charged. That would be the anxiety a little bit.
So I could talk about electric cars for a long time, so I don't want to make this Codex a history of electric cars, but I do think a fully electric car like the Bolt that can go about 250 miles on a charge, the dream is that you just have a place to plug it in your garage, and then it's always full. It's always topped off. You never have to go to the gas station. Like, it's not inconvenient at all. It's super great. Second best is if you have a place to charge it, like at work, or a place where your car is going to be a lot. That's what I have. I can go to work and charge it there and usually end up with a full charge by the end of the day. And my commute is probably 30 miles round trip.
Oh, nice.
The thing stays pretty topped up. The only problem is if you want to go for a road trip, which I don't do very often, but you just have to plan it out a little bit, especially with the Bolt, because the Bolt is one of the slower charging cars at like a fast charger. Fast in air quotes, because it's not like filling up a gas tank. In a Bolt, it takes probably, at a fast charger, if you're getting like super fast charging, probably still takes an hour to go from 0 to 100. But you don't do that. You go from like 30 to 80 in like 20 to 30 minutes instead. And you're just like getting enough to get to the next charging station. Anyway, I could talk about this for a long time because I really enjoy it. But I do think that's where cars are going. They're all going to be electric.
Too. It's going to go there. There are some problems with, infrastructure and, for example, commercial trucking. Like, how are they going to do that? Like freight trucking. But then I watched a video recently about hydrogen power for freight trucking, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah. So a Codex history of car technology. Hydrogen is cool. Right now it has a problem where the energy required to make liquid hydrogen is more than the energy the hydrogen has in it. So it's really, really, really inefficient, like on a macro scale, because you have to burn. It's not great for the environment because you're probably burning coal and stuff wherever your electricity comes from. I guess if it's fully solar powered and that's how you're getting your hydrogen, then I guess that's fine. It's inefficient, but it's not like actively hurting the planet, I guess. But if your power is coming from somewhere that's polluting, storing that energy as hydrogen is a really, really inefficient way to do that. And also there are only hydrogen fill-up places in California and like one in Maine, I think. And that's it.
Really? That's it? Oh, man.
Yep. The only advantage hydrogen has over like a fully electric car is that it doesn't take very long to fill up.
That's true.
And there's a lot of, it's efficient in that like by volume, you can store a lot of energy in hydrogen. So I think trucks will probably be one of the last things to be electrified, just because like they have a need to store a lot of energy really efficiently, and gasoline is a pretty efficient way to store energy. So anyway, that's my thoughts on
Dude,
cars.
If we're going to talk about things like this, we got to do it on the Mailbag episodes, okay? And if we get someone being like, they didn't talk about video games and give us a bad review, I think it's worth it. I think it's totally worth it.
But if anybody wants to talk about cars and technology in the cars, I'm not really a car person. I just love electric cars and like discussing fuel options. So
what we need to do? We need to make a new channel on the Discord called Technology Talk, and then you could just talk about weird technology in there. That's the place.
Yeah,
that's what we could do.
Yeah.
Do you want to read the email from Bowser?
Yes.
Getting older playing video games is the subject line.
Okay. This one is from Bowser. It says, "Hey guys, it's Bowser again. Just wanted to ask you guys, when you play single player games, whether it's an FPS, RPG, puzzle, or other type of game, do you pick the easy or story mode? When I was younger, I would always try the hardest difficulty first. Now that I'm 34 and have an 8-year-old son, I find myself with less time to play. I do sometimes find myself thinking that the games I'm playing are a bit too easy, but I'm still having fun. Just asking your thoughts. Spider Butts, Bowser. P.S. Take the last action game you played mixed with the last rated E game you played. What type of game are you playing?"
Ooh, okay. I got to think about the PS, but Tyler and I are both strong proponents of playing games on easy mode. I think you and I are both cool with it, right? Because we played all of Gears of War together on easy mode, and we had a really fun time.
Yeah, I think so. When new games come out, I usually try to play them on the more difficult modes. I don't know why I do this specifically for newer games. I think I'm just like, because I'm trying to get the the experience that other people are probably talking about right now. So I generally start on higher difficulties, and then I'm not afraid to drop it if it gets too frustrating. But for older games where you're playing it to just have the experience of having played that older game, I throw that stuff on easy mode and I just blast through it, and I have so much fun.
Everyone that's like, whenever I do a game for the podcast, I'm not reviewing really anything. Except on my Substack, you can check that out. Okay, sorry, shameless plug. But I always put it on easy mode. Like the Dark Alliance game, there was no easy mode, so I just put it on the normal mode. But usually, just so I can get through it in the time it takes and actually get like a good idea of the gameplay, I have to put it on easy just to go through it.
Yeah. Yeah, when we played Duke Nukem, did we put that? I think we put it on easy mode.
I put Duke Nukem on easy. Yeah, I did not care. And you know what? It was still not worth it, if you ask me. But I did it.
Yeah.
I completed
for
it.
older games where it's more important for me to like finish the game to like have the experience from beginning to end, I'll just put it on easy right away. For newer games where I'm okay spending a little bit of time or spending a little bit of time getting frustrated at the game, I'll start on harder modes. But I don't want to get frustrated at 20-year-old games. Like I didn't play it back then probably, so I'm gonna play it now, and I want to play through it, and I want to get the full experience and not spend a lot of time like being frustrated with the harder difficulties.
Did we beat Quake co-op on easy? I think we did, right?
I want to say we did Quake on normal.
Did we? Okay, I couldn't remember.
Maybe we did it on easy.
I think we did normal because we were like, there's two of us. We can do this. We can pull it off. So
yeah,
that's what we did.
Normal mode isn't that difficult anyway in Quake.
Okay, so regarding the PS, as far as the last action game we played mixed with the last rated E game we played, I don't know what sounds better. Destiny Valley or Stardew Destiny? What do you think?
Destiny Valley.
Destiny Valley? Or we can go Lightfall Valley if we're being more specific with the expansion.
Ooh. Lightfall Valley makes it feel more like Stardew Valley. Because Stardew is like a cosmic.
It is, yeah. Do you think that the worlds of Destiny and Stardew are connected? Probably. That's probably what's going on. Yeah, I think Destiny Valley is a good name though. What about you? Did you think about it? What it is?
It's for the rated E game. It's probably must have been Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope. So and Destiny also. So must be
Sparks of Destiny. That sounds
Sparks of Destiny. Yeah, Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Destiny.
Yeah, I think you could ditch the Mario plus Rabbids and just do Sparks of Destiny.
Just call Sparks of Destiny?
Or Destiny of Hope. I don't know. That sounds kind of weird. Sparks of Lightfall?
Yeah, maybe. The type of game I think that it is it's the take the gameplay of Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle, but add the games as a service stuff that Destiny does. So, there's a whole campaign and then there's seasons of content. Actually really that would like really be fun, I think. And like if there's like a new sort of battle every day that's like a puzzle, like a daily puzzle kind of thing of like, oh, how do you beat this battle? I think that would be
like really with fun. Challenge modifiers and stuff. I think Destiny Valley would be a live service game, but it's farming based. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
The raid is just growing parsnips.
I started having a lot more fun with tactical RPGs when I started thinking of them as puzzle games instead of like action games.
Man, I bought XCOM on sale on Steam and I am so bad at it. Like Mario plus Rabbids was like the right level of difficulty for me, but XCOM is super hard.
Yeah. And those like, oh, this has a 97% chance to hit and you miss. You're like, ah.
Yeah, it feels real bad. That's why I like the Mario plus Rabbids. You said it best. It's either 0, 50, or 100. That's all they do.
Yep.
That was good. Thank you so much, Bowser, for the email. Okay. The next email is from Carl. And the subject line is another desert island scenario. Hey guys, Carl here from South Africa again. Firstly, I reckon Donkey Kong disappeared as a bad father to get milk and returned as Funky Kong, is what they say. Anyway, I've had this thought experiment for a while, and it goes something like this. What if you were going to be stranded on an island, and you had a limited amount of memory you could occupy with games? What would you take with? I.e., what's the most bang for your buck games in terms of hours enjoyed per megabytes of storage? Also, please, could you do another series like id Software History? It was amazing. Regards, Carl. Thank you, Carl.
Oh, man. I want to know what my limits are for storage here, because if it's like, oh, you get 5 gigabytes, that changes my answer unless it's like if it was like you have 5 terabytes, because you can fit a lot of games in 5 terabytes. You have to make a lot of sacrifices to fit into 5 gigabytes. Bang for your buck, the entire NES library is like a couple hundred megabytes, maybe.
That's true.
The entire Super Nintendo library, under a gigabyte.
Man.
The entire Nintendo 64 library is a little bit bigger than that, but still not huge. Like, so bang for your buck, you can get entire catalogs for not very much storage space.
If we were going modern game, I would say Stardew Valley is pretty small. I know I keep bringing it up. I'm going to become a total Stardew Valley head, but that's just in my mind. And that's a really relatively small game, like as far as gig sizes for hours played.
Yeah.
My other thought was if you play the ASCII version of Dwarf Fortress, like the one with symbols and stuff, that's ASCII, right? ASCII. Yeah.
Yeah, ASCII.
Yeah, that's that would be really small, but the worlds get really big when you build them. But that would have a lot of hours of playtime because that game is so intense. I want to buy the Steam version of that. I need to do that because people have been asking us to do an episode on it, but I want to make sure I give it its due diligence. Play through it. Get real mad at it. Have a dwarf fortress that eventually dies because I think the game, they always die. I think that's kind of how they end. Something bad happens no matter what.
Yeah. I think games you can spend a lot of time with, like, I mean, even something like chess, assuming you have somebody to play with, like there are some, I'm sure there are large chess games, but there are probably some very small ones too.
Ooh, I got a good
that you
one.
could just play for a long time.
I got a good one, I think, based on size. We kind of came up last episode with Michael. Classic RuneScape. Old school RuneScape.
Yeah, do you have internet on this desert island?
That's a good point. That does change everything, if you have internet or not. I'm guessing you wouldn't. If you have a storage, it would be really weird if you had a storage limit, but then you had fiber internet.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so no internet, then no MMOs. If you have internet, those are pretty good bang for your buck. Maybe, I mean, bang for your buck in terms of like contemporary things. Like I could put a lot more time into World of Warcraft today. That's a 100 gig game probably. It's probably not that big. It's probably 80 gigs now. I could probably put more time into that than like Horizon Zero Dawn, which is also like 60 or 70 gigs. Not that Horizon Zero Dawn is a small game but I think in terms of just hours invested, you could put a lot more into a World of Warcraft than you could Horizon Zero Dawn. But if you got no storage space at all, if you have like a very small memory card, then you got to pick like full software libraries from older consoles, I think.
That's right. I think I would rather go with the Super Nintendo than the NES, though, as far as personally.
If you had to pick one.
If I had to pick one.
I think I would too. Yeah.
I love N64, but I would not pick N64.
Yeah. There are fewer than 300 N64 games.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty low. And that includes for North American versions, that's 296. I know that because I'm collecting. But for international is where it gets over 300. And honestly, I don't know if I would. There's English translations of those games. There's no localization, so it'd be kind of hard to figure out.
Yeah. You're going to have to teach yourself like Japanese or something.
I already butchered the Japanese language enough on this podcast to feel horrible, so I don't want to. I mentioned a while back that I was doing a history on the early days of Nintendo, and I still intend to do that. I am really just trying to prep myself for messing up names and feeling terrible about it. So we are going to do that eventually. I just want to let everyone know, but I'm working on it, but I just feel so bad when I butcher another country's language, okay?
Yeah, I wonder if folks, if there's like a Japanese video game podcast that is us, but in Japanese, and they feel bad every time they butcher the English language stuff.
Yeah, I feel like the English language is really easy to butcher too, because there are some things that just don't make sense in English.
Terrible language.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much for the email, Carl. It was very good. Do you want to read Jeremy from North Carolina's email regarding level passwords?
I will. Jeremy says the subject line is level passwords were the worst, in all caps. Worst is in all caps. Hey fellas, I recently stumbled across your podcast on Spotify last week and love your work. I already plowed through around 15 episodes. I have a 1+ hour commute to work. Dang, that's a long commute.
That is a long commute.
In one of the episodes, you talked about how Zelda had a battery in the cartridge to save progress, and how that was a vast improvement over the level passwords, which is the truth. But that brings up a fond memory I have. I was a Sega kid, and one of my favorite games was Jurassic Park. It was a great game, and you could play as either Dr. Grant or a raptor. It included level passwords. This game sounds right up your alley. Sega game, Jurassic Park. Mike, did you play this game?
I did, and it's kind of in the works. I've been looking up stuff around Jurassic Park because I did Star Wars on 64, and I think it would be really fun to do Jurassic Park on like Sega and Super Nintendo for an episode because these games are really fun, and I did play this game, and it's very hard.
Yeah. Well, here's a trick for you. Jeremy goes on to say, within the booklet, which I missed, they had a section about level passwords and how once you finished a level, you get a password to save your progress. However, they showed you a picture with a legit level password. When I inputted it, it put me halfway through the game as Dr. Grant. As a fourth grader, I felt like a hacker then, and I was getting one over on the man. It was awesome. Love your work, guys, especially your coverage on the book Console Wars, and I look forward to many more podcasts to come. Jeremy from North Carolina. Thanks, Jeremy.
Great tip. Great life pro tip. Man, I wonder if I could find that booklet online. There's got to be a PDF of it somewhere.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure somebody has archived that somewhere.
Oh, yeah, when those little moments when you like discover something as a kid and it makes you feel like a computer genius.
Yep.
You got to love that stuff.
Passwords were nice back in the day because like magazines could do like a whole thing where they're like, we're going to do, here's all the passwords to this game, right? And then you would be able to like jump to the end or something like that. Or if you forgot a password that you had legitimately earned, you could at least go find what that was.
There is a store I found in Washington, like probably like 30 minutes from my house, that does sell old Nintendo powers. And I thought about looking through those to see if there were old level passwords out of curiosity.
Oh, yeah. You can find old Nintendo powers online too, like the PDFs or for basically every issue exist somewhere.
That's so great.
Which is really fun to go back and look through old ones, especially for me, like the old ones that I had that I don't know where they are anymore. I think maybe I could dig them up at my parents' house if I looked around. But yeah, looking back at those old ones and like seeing all those old Nintendo 64 games that I used to be like, oh man, I really want to play that game, but never did. Good times.
Yeah. Now Jeremy's getting nostalgic for level passwords, even though we all know they are inferior to the current save game system that we have today.
That's right. Yeah, they are not better, but there were some cool things. Also, you could do cheat codes that way. Like remember the original Metroid had the Justin Bailey passcode where it would put you at the end of the game with everything, and then also it was Samus not in her suit.
Oh wow!
It was like a human Samus. It was like just Samus, but not in her suit.
Is it the blue suit they wear? Like that has that been canon the whole time? That they're
the
like,
Zero suit?
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's like I want to say it's like a pink suit. Justin Bailey code. Yeah, she's in like a pink like leotard.
That's cool.
With green hair, which is kind of weird.
That's cool. You know, little eye of what's going on with Samus early on.
Yep.
That was a really good email. Thank you, Jeremy. All right. The next one. The subject line is been a while. This is from Alex. He goes, hey guys, it's Alex, aka your favorite spider butt hunter. It's been a while. I've kept up on the pod, but haven't emailed you guys in a while. Was wondering if the Monster Hunter series is a future episode possibility. I've played almost all of them, quite possibly my favorite series of video games. I know you guys have a lot of games you guys need to play, but I highly recommend the Monster Hunter. I can even help you guys out if you wish. P.S. Rise is probably the best one to start considering it's the newest. You know, I've heard Monster Hunter Rise is amazing. I want to cover this game, Alex. I do. It's also such a daunting task. That's kind of how I feel.
It is on Game Pass.
Yeah, because if I did Monster Hunter, I'd want to start in the beginning, right? Like I'd want to do it early on. And because we've had some very valid criticism about playing the actual games for the podcast, right? Because there were some times that we were trying to do it where we didn't have time to play the game and those episodes sounded kind of weird. So I want to really do that now. I want to make sure I play the game. Monster Hunter is so huge. It would take me so long to get through the games.
Yep. They are long and grindy games for sure.
Really are.
That's their whole deal.
That's a real big problem with us in JRPGs is it's just hard to get through them because they're so big. Because you have these kids and then they got to kill a god. You know, that's how it works. That's how all JRPGs work. So it takes a while to get there.
At the end of the game, if you're not killing actual god, then what kind of JRPG are you playing?
Exactly. That's right. But it's definitely on our list, Alex. So I appreciate the email and I will confirm and double check that it's on our radar here and I'll put it on, make sure it's on the episode ideas list. But yeah, I want to cover it. I also want to cover, well, I guess, okay, is is it Dragon Quest? Dragon Quest is another separate JRPG series.
Yeah.
That we haven't covered either. And that's another one of those ones that I'm like, this looks really cool to cover, but it is gigantic. So.
Yes. My brother has played a lot of those. He's a big Dragon
Well,
Quest fan.
time to get your brother on the pod. Here we go.
Maybe we will.
Do you want to read this next one from Patrick?
Yes, I do. The subject line is The Many Sizes of Mario. Hey guys, the show is still great. I'm writing in regards to a previous episode on portable versions of console games. In it, you talked about Mario Land for the Game Boy, where Mario needed to be a certain size to do some things, and I wondered if there were other games with that requirement. I can say yes, there is. Oh, he's saying the same thing as Matt did for New Super Mario Bros. For the DS, we are introduced to the Mini Mushroom. The item shrinks Mario down to an even smaller than possible. You kind of float when you jump. You can't stomp on enemies. You just kind of bounce off of them. You can also stand on water and run across it.
That's cool.
The mushroom is also required to reach an optional world. In one of the fortresses, you need to activate the item after beating the boss to fall through a small gap in the floor to move to the new world. Anyway, just thought I'd share since I don't think we've seen this item since. Thanks for reading and keep the show great. Patrick.
You know, because we brought it up twice, I think this kind of brought up a video I saw recently, and I don't know the YouTuber I watched, so let me try to pull it up. But I've been watching a lot of demake videos on YouTube lately. People demaking popular games. And I saw someone that demade Super Mario Odyssey, and they did it as an NES title. I'm trying to get to it right now. Okay, I think I found it. Yeah, so it's by Teddy Rose Kid, and Kid is with 2 Ds. They made this video where they added the dive, the hat throw, all this stuff on like an NES style game. It's not, you can't play it on the NES, but it looks like the NES. They definitely did some things with memory, right? Like they couldn't do it, but the controls would work on an NES controller because it's all shortcuts and combos to make the dive happen. So I just thought that was really cool. These demake videos are a real big rabbit hole on YouTube, and they've kind of been absorbing my time because I love watching people take old games, new games, and make them look old.
Yeah, like in like especially in art styles like the original PlayStation, which the art hasn't aged very well on most original PlayStation games. But so it's fun to see them take that aesthetic and like take a newer game and do it if it were to come out on the original PlayStation. And like, yeah, it's just like a weird nostalgia thing that, because it's not good. It's like objectively bad. Pretty much every PlayStation game looks bad. But we still have like kind of a nostalgia for it, right?
There's kind of like a whole scene with the low res PlayStation 1 style graphics for indie horror games.
Yeah.
Because that's scary. It looks bad. It looks kind of creepy in that way. And when I talked about that NES remake of that horror fishing game I saw on YouTube, it gives that same kind of vibe with PlayStation 1. You know, it's that same, what's that in the corner? It's kind of scary. Even that Game Boy game that was like super low res Game Boy horror game was kind of scary. I watched a person play that and I'm like, I'm glad I'm watching this and not playing this because I would have gotten scared. So they also do, they made Halo for NES graphics. That's kind of like Contra, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah. There's a Halo 2600 too.
Yeah. We talked about Halo
That's
2600 on a cart.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool. So I encourage you. D-Makes is another thing that was mentioned as an episode idea, and I would love to talk about it. I just want to make sure we get some sort of expert on D-Makes when we talk about that, because it's a pretty big topic, and I'm not an expert in that at all. Tyler, are you an expert in D-Makes? Have I been wrong this whole time?
I am not.
Okay.
Nope.
I just didn't want to just shut you down if you actually had been an expert
Thank
this
you.
entire
I appreciate
time.
that.
Yeah, no problem. Alrighty. Thank you so much for the email, Patrick. We're going to move on. And we actually have 2 emails here from Andrew. So I'm going to read the first one, and then you're going to read the second. Okay?
Okay.
So this one first is called 3DO New World Computing, Might and Magic. Hey all, I just discovered your podcast recently and have only listened to a few episodes. Top 10 Dreamcast, all episodes of Pokemon history, and recently Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. I'm actually approximately the same age as you two, so this nostalgia is spot on, and so far, I had played a lot of games you're reflecting on as they launched, Messiah, Shenmue, Code Veronica included. To that end, I'm wondering if these have come up before, and I haven't chanced upon them yet, or if you'd be interested in doing a piece on one or both of them. Power Stone 1 and 2. These were peak Dreamcast brawlers for me, and I feel like they vanished without a trace despite having some really cool elements to them. Have you heard of Power Stone 1 and 2, Tyler? I have not, but I also don't know anything about the Dreamcast.
I have heard of Power Stone 1 and 2. I have my strongest memory of Power Stone 2 specifically is at PAX in 2015, I think it was. I went to PAX in 2015, maybe it was 2014, and I was there with a friend of mine from like high school that I sort of knew back in high school, and he was there, and we were like kind of hanging out because we saw each other there, and we were like, oh, hey, I know you. But he went to there was a Power Stone tournament, which as far as I know is probably the world championship of Power Stone, because I don't know of any other Power Stone tournaments. So in my head, this was Power Stone Worlds. And so I went to watch him play Power Stone, and he just dominated everybody in Power Stone 2. So Sean, I don't know if you listen to this podcast, but every time somebody talks about Power Stone, I think about how I know, at least in my brain, I know the world champion of Power Stone 2. And I saw you win at PAX, and that was super, super fun. That's really my only experience with Power Stone, but I have a very fond memory of watching Sean win everything.
Well, I would love to cover that game. It sounds cool. I think we haven't really given the Dreamcast as much love as we should, I feel like, on the podcast, but that's also because playing the game, we'd have to emulate it, I think. Yeah,
probably. I have a Dreamcast.
You have a Dreamcast?
I do, yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, you first got to obtain a fully legal copy of the game, and then obviously you can play it. Yes, of course. So the second thing in the email from Andrew is the second recommendation, I should say, is The Fall of 3DO and New World Computing, along with the Might and Magic series. There's a lot to explore there, including 3DO attempting to make hardware in the 90s. The Might and Magic series is full of nostalgia for me, especially 7 and 8, and you can look at more of the side projects beyond Messiah. Did you know they had a medieval Counter-Strike clone called Legends of Might and Magic? Hope to hear from you, Andrew. I had no idea that they had a medieval Counter-Strike clone called Legends of Might and Magic. That sounds fantastic.
I'll look this up now.
But we have briefly touched on 3DO as far as like the fall of it, because that's come up in a couple of the Ultimate History of Video Game books. I believe we covered it there twice. Does that sound right? And they kind of also mention it in Console Wars as well.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about 3DO. I don't have any personal experience with it.
But really. I would love to do a full thing on it. Honestly, we had it mentioned in a previous email about to do more history series like we did with id, and I would love to do that. I'm just kind of in the process of trying to find the right kind of book, like reference material for us to cover that, because I want to make sure we got the facts right. Finding a book is going to help us out with that immensely. Those are great questions, though, Andrew, and great recommendations. I definitely want to cover these, and I'll put them both on our list when we're done with the episode today. It sounds super fun. Now, Andrew then goes on to have another email called Follow-Up Now That I've Heard More. Do you want to read this one, Tyler?
Yeah. He says, hey, you two. I've had a heck of a time since my initial email listening to many more. I particularly love the mailbag segments and love the recent question of what you want to see in the next Elder Scrolls installment, a question I am way too passionate about. I fully agree both Black Marsh and Elsewhere would make great settings. The former, particularly to see them work in the sentient trees. It would be interesting to flash back to the Oblivion Crisis, where the Argonians reverse-raided the Daedric portals until they had them on the run.
That's some deep lore right there. Sorry to interrupt, but I love that.
That's some deep Elder Scrolls lore. I played a lot of Oblivion and Skyrim. I know almost nothing about any of the lore in either of those games, but I'm glad that other people are super into it. Andrew goes on to say, I also agree with throwables and spellcrafting. I would like to add a combination of Skyrim and Fallout 76 base building, smithing and building supplies from the former, and placement anywhere from the latter. I should note I'm not a fan of Fallout 76, but I like that addition. And was very happy to hear the Morrowind-style quest guide brought up. The searchable notebook on the PC had me pulling out my physical map and plotting courses based on waypoints that really added to the immersion. What if they added in NPCs saying, let me draw you a map, and sketching in your notebook, a la Arthur Morgan's rough sketches, which you could flip back to? The modern breadcrumb trail has really scaled back immersion for me, and not in a great way. I would personally like fast travel to be handled in Morrowind as well, but with the addition of mounts, maybe flying, would be nice. Lastly, F the Aldmeri Dominion. Is that how you say that? Aldmeri?
Yep, Aldmeri Dominion. Right. Yep, that's correct.
Aldmeri Dominion. all in for wrecking the racist scumbags in the next installment. Though Skyrim belongs to the Nords, sounds pretty on par with, we don't like your kind around here. Go back to where you came from. So the Altmer aren't the only racists, if we're being honest. Signed, Andrew from Florida.
That's some real deep lore. I love that stuff. I'm glad.
It is,
And I totally agree with you, Andrew. I think all those things would be great. Because, especially the whole, like, taking a quest, because it kind of reminds me more of a little bit of a D&D style. So what if they did fast travel between cities, kind of like they did with the Silk Striders in Morrowind, but you could still have to walk to find the locations, because that kind of makes it feel like a quest. I'm doing something. Yeah. It feels very Dungeons and Dragons-y to me, which I love. So that's why I like that. But I do understand for some people, they're like, hey, my time is limited. Why are you making me hike on a trail for 20 minutes to get to a cave? I get that too. There's different arguments for both, but that's great. Yeah, I love that so much. Andrew and I have very similar opinions, it seems like, on Elder Scrolls games, which makes me happy.
Yep.
Thank you, Andrew. So I'm on our last email of the day here. And this is from Joe, it looks like. It says, another episode idea. Hello there. I found your podcast while looking for things to listen to at work. I started from the beginning and am currently on episode 179. Wow, that's a lot of us. Your podcasts really make the work week go by quicker. My idea for an episode is Lego games. Oh, I love this already. Ooh. They are always quirky and cheesy but fun and easy to pick up and play for a few minutes to a few hours. I feel free to read this on the show. I live in Kentucky. Anyways, I need to go because I borrowed someone's phone to write this, and for some reason, he's got a pencil. Sent from John Wick's iPhone. That's really good.
I heard John Wick killed a man with a pencil.
That's true. I've heard that as well. That's a really good John Wick reference. I love that. Thank you so much, Joseph, in Kentucky. Yeah, Lego games. There's so many of those, but they're so great. I mean, I picked up Lego Racers for N64 because that was like my childhood right there. That's a great game.
Yeah. You can go way back. Like I played a lot of Lego Island on the PC. Oh, that was one of my first PC games. I loved Lego Island. There's a lot of nostalgia for that game these days. Like you'll see posts on Reddit and stuff. People just reminiscing about Lego Island on the PC. I loved that game. I never played Lego Island 2, and I didn't get like Lego Creator. There were a lot of Lego PC games that I missed out on, but I did really like that one. And then of course you've got all the like the more modern Lego games, like Lego, starting with Lego Star Wars, which is almost 20 years old now. Ooh, want to feel old. But like that sort of blueprint has been the blueprint for Lego games from then on. And they're really fun because like the gameplay is always fun. It's not very difficult. It's really fun to play with somebody who's maybe not into video games as much, but they cover all your favorite IPs that Lego has. You know, you've got Lego Star Wars, Lego Harry Potter, Lego Lord of the Rings, Lego Indiana Jones, like just basically anything. There's a Lego game for it, and they're all really, really fun.
Yeah, they're so great. I think it would be really fun for us to cover some Lego games and even just talk about maybe the relationship between Lego and video game publishers, because they've had a lot of different things. For a while, they had their own, I think. I don't know if they still do or not, or if they like kind of outsource it. But Tyler, this is kind of random, but I just had a thought. And are you down to play a game of 20 questions with me real quick?
Yeah,
I have a game for you. And I just thought of the game, and I know you've played it. Okay. Like, this isn't going to be a trick in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
So I have this pulled up on here. I am ready when you are ready to answer questions. And I didn't anticipate this game being this hard to get details on, but you know what? That's what happens when you do things spur of the moment. So whenever you're ready, fire away.
Okay. Was this game released on or after January 1st, 2000?
On or after January 1st, 2000. I'm going to say after.
Okay. You can just say yes or no. I think they got to be yes or no questions. That's fine, though.
Yes. After.
Okay. So it's after 2000. So then this game... was this game released in its original release? This is because like I don't know if there's like remakes and stuff. I don't know how crafty you're getting here, but in its original release, was it on a DVD as opposed to like a CD or other disc?
No.
Okay.
Not
So it was-
not a DVD.
Okay. Not a DVD, so probably a CD, unless it's like a really late Nintendo 64 game. Was this game released on Nintendo 64?
No.
Okay. So we're looking at a CD-based game. So could be PlayStation 1, could be PlayStation 2. Some early PlayStation 2 games were on CDs. I don't know if you're counting GD ROMs on a Dreamcast as a CD.
I would count
Technically, they're
that
different?
as a CD.
Okay.
To me,
Okay.
like just because of my lack of knowledge of the Dreamcast space, I would count that as a CD.
Okay. Technically wrong, but
Yeah, I'm
That's
wrong.
good to know.
But it's I just needed to tell you to clarify.
So is this a Dreamcast game?
No.
Okay. Whew. Dang. Thought maybe
You've
I'd-
done 4, by the way.
4. Okay. So then is this a PlayStation game?
No.
What other CD based? Was this a PlayStation 2 game?
No.
Oh. Wasting my questions here. CD based console after I guess it could have been a PC game. Must be a PC game. I'm not going to ask that question because I think it must be a PC game. If it was on a CD, then it was probably before 2005. Is this a first-person shooter game?
Yes.
Okay. First-person shooter, probably before 2005 if it came on a CD for PC. I'm making a lot of assumptions here without asking. I'm assuming it's a PC game. I'm assuming that it's like before 2005 if it came on a CD for PC. Hopefully these assumptions aren't leading me down to wrong path. You know what? Is this a PC game?
Yes.
Okay. So, and okay, so thinking of first-person shooters, is this a science fiction game?
Yes.
Okay. After 2000, science fiction came on a CD. Was this a standalone game as opposed to part of a series? That's a yes or no question.
No.
Okay, so it is part of a series then. You know I've played this game.
I know you've played this game.
First-person shooter. Is this game from the Half-Life family of games?
Yes.
Okay, now we're narrowing it down. So it could be Half-Life, could be Counter-Strike, could be Blue Shift, could be Opposing Force, could be Ricochet, could be Half-Life 2. Although I don't know if that came on a CD. 2004 probably did. Is this game Ricochet?
Yes, it is.
Ah!
You got it. Nice. I was nervous. So it appears that Ricochet, because it is a free mod, was included in a Half-Life version that I'm assuming came out on CD. So I might have led you astray, but you did get it in 12 questions. Because it looks like Ricochet was included in Half-Life's version 1.1.1.0 update. I'm going to take it that did come out on CD, though, with it. Because they were still packaging CDs at that time in 2002, right?
Yes. If I had to guess, I would guess that Ricochet never released on a
CD. Well, in that
on a disc.
situation, I'm going to give myself a penalty and say you got it in 10.
Okay. Because I don't think... Because like Counter-Strike came out on its own CD, like it was its own release, right?
Yeah, let me just you've won and you got it in 12, but really 10 because I made a boo-boo. I'm going to see if Ricochet came out on CD.
Yeah, Half-Life's 1.1.1.0 update. Interesting. Free official Half-Life mod. Yeah, I would assume...
Maybe it was downloaded. I just thought, because I remember when you would buy like Half-Life or it would come with Counter-Strike, so I was under the assumption that Ricochet would be on the disc too, like that. That's kind of what I thought.
You could buy I could be wrong here about, this is my understanding of Half-Life disc things. If you bought like the pack that had all the Half-Life stuff in it, Half-Life was on its own disc, Counter-Strike was on its own disc, and then Opposing Force and Blue Shift were also on their own discs. You could download Counter-Strike for free.
Maybe that's
you didn't have
what
to
I
like
did,
buy
'cause
it
I
at the store.
Yeah, I bought Half-Life 2, and then I put the disc in, and it put it on its Steam, I think. And then Counter-Strike appeared. Counter-Strike Source appeared as in my Steam library.
Steam.
Yeah, to download.
Yeah, if you put the CD key from any Half-Life game, Half-Life, Blue Shift, Opposing Force, Counter-Strike, any of those, you automatically get all of the Half-Life family of games for that for like the original Half-Life on Steam. And the reason for that is because the CD keys were all generated with the same like algorithm, and Valve actually doesn't know what game. Like if you give it a CD key from your Blue Shift, it doesn't actually know that's a Blue Shift CD key. It just knows that it's a CD key that matches like its algorithm. So they just gave you all of them. They're just like, whatever, you get them all, I guess, because we don't know which one you put in.
That's super cool. They did that though. They didn't care. They're like, here's some free games. I remember purchasing all of the Valve collection. This was probably in 2015, 2014. Because it goes on sale. It's like $20 and you get 100 games. It's crazy. It goes on sale all the time if you don't have it. And I was like, this feels worth it because I put so many hours into Counter-Strike Source. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
Well, good job, Tyler. That just popped in my head as a game because I know you play that one.
We have played it briefly. We played it with listeners.
Exactly. That's why I wanted to do
years
it
ago now.
because that was really fun. We could do another Ricochet tournament. It was not it was fun, but it wasn't fun. Does that make sense?
The game wasn't great. Playing with friends is fun.
That's right. It's always fun. Friendship. Teamwork makes the dream work. Okay, now, Tyler, what you been playing?
I've been playing Lightfall, Destiny 2. I'm on the second to last mission, Headlong. I understand there is some real stinky cheese for this mission, and I'm here for it. Probably going to play that later today and try to finish the campaign. I really want to do the raid this week because you can still get the jacket if we do it this week.
I would love to do that too. That sounds really fun.
Yeah.
And my nights are free, so that sounds great.
So I gotta finish the campaign and then do a little bit of power leveling, I think. But I think I can get there maybe by next weekend. I'm traveling for work next Saturday, but maybe like Friday I could do.
What's the power level cap for the raid? Like, what do you need to be?
This weekend with contest mode, the cap was 1780.
Oh, I'm there.
Where
cool.
if you go above that, you don't get any more. That's for contest mode. I think maybe after today, I don't know exactly when contest mode turns off, and then you can go higher and make it a little bit easier. So
I felt a little strange because I didn't get the Moments of Triumph shirt this year. I've done that the last like 3 or 4 years, and I didn't do it because
same.
Kind of out of protest because I'm kind of tired of this Bungie money machine thing. You know, I'm having fun with your game, so I'm just like, I don't need to buy the t-shirt. It just seems kind of weird that every time you do something in the game, a pop-up shows up like, buy this thing, and you're like, okay, what is this, a mobile game? What's happening? Don't do this to me.
Yeah.
So
I think it's kind of fun when they do the things that like you have to accomplish something and then you get the jacket or whatever. Like you don't get the jacket, you have to buy the jacket, and they're not cheap. But I do find it fun that like these physical items are sort of locked behind like achievements in the game. I think that's really cool. My Guardian Games tankard from a year and a half ago or whatever is still on its way. I just got an an update email. It's like 2 or 3 weeks away now.
Our friend got the giant Nerf Galahorn, and it's really cool, but it took a long time to get there too. So you've been playing some Destiny? Well, I've also been playing some Destiny. So that's my thing too. I did beat the Lightfall campaign on Legendary, not to brag. I feel like as a Titan, I have it a little easy because I can just heal myself by throwing a hammer every second I feel scared. So that kind of helped me out a lot. But it was very challenging. Like the final boss fight is nothing to shake your head at. It's pretty intense.
I remember the last boss for Witch Queen being extremely hard too, that we did it with 3 of us, and it felt like we felt so good after like we'd finished a dungeon or a raid or something.
Yeah, it's cool in that sense, but it's definitely doable on your own. There's definitely some cheesy weapons you could use, like the Osteostriga submachine gun that makes poison damage, just chips down the big boss's health, and then the linear fusion rifles kind of make these new enemies a little trivial once you land your shots and you get it all right. So I think it's pretty challenging though and fun, and it's like learning the mechanics and executing, which is always nice. So, but yeah, I want to watch you play this one today though. If you play it, I would love to watch you play that because it's a fun mission to watch, especially with the cheese.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll let you know when I'll probably play it later this evening.
Yeah. Well, with that, ways you can support our podcast is telling your friends about us. That's really it. That's going to help us out the most. You can also go onto codexpodcast.net. There are links to our Discord, links to our Twitters, links to our Trello boards. You can email us from there, or you can email us at codexhistorypodcast@gmail.com. This week, I also made the world's most mediocre ripoff of Pong, and you can also play that on the Codex Podcast website. It is there live right now. It is, play it on the Codex website. Don't play it on HIO because I bound it to the up and down keys. and the itch.io page has a scroll bar. So every time you hit down, the paddle goes down and then the page goes down. It's really disorienting. Do not play it on the itch.io page. Play it on codexpodcast.net if you're going to play it at all. I did fix that error. I just haven't updated the website or anything. I did some little quality of life changes right after I put the Substack out about it. But yeah, so that's how you can support us there. And with that, I think that's it today. You want to say bye to everybody, Tyler?
Goodbye, everybody.